Hello. Yeah. Hello, namaste, and welcome back to the Craftsfair Pavilion. So, for the next event in the Moving Mountains series, we're going to have something very special. We're going to be seeing visual stories from the Hindu Kush Himalayas. And to introduce this, I'd like to invite to stage Mr. Uday Mishra from EC Mode. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, brother. What's your name? Thank you, Bimochan. So after hearing a lot of technical talks this whole day, I'm sure all of us are tired. But just to relax our eyes and give a bit of a comfort to our mind, we have some interesting very short films, not only from Nepal but across the HKS region. So. So, coincidentally, today being 8th November, we have 8 short films that we'll screen one by one. And I'll just like to quickly take their names. So, out of 8, okay, is okay? Hello, hello. Yeah, so out of 8, we have made 5 films in collaboration with EC Mode and which were commissioned to each of the HKS countries. So we have one from Bhutan by Denkar's Getaway, changing snow patterns and its impact to livelihood of mountain people. The other one is from China by Wang Di and Hayajang. It talks about it gives a story of climate change and coffee landscape in the HKH. There's another one from India by filmmaker Nilima Valangi, and the story is about counting on resilience, the resilience of people in spite of the hardship that they have to face. So it talks about the life in unprecedented times. It's a story from Uttarakhand in India. And there's another video from India on the theme of moving mountains. It's about a man's persistence to fight against the plastic pollution in Uttarakhand. And the other one is from Nepal. And this is based on a recent mountaineering summit that our young woman from Nepal, that she went on a mission to a mountain in Nepal, and she's here with us today, Miss Purnima Shrestha. She's a summiter of Mount Everest, but not only Mount Everest, but also summiter of 7 of the 8,000 meters of the world. So she has summited all of them. And this story talks revolves around her interaction with the people while she was on a mission to a mountain in Nepal. So 5 of them are were made in collaboration with EC Mode. So there are 2 short films that are from the partner organization. One is from Sat Sathai, which gives the voice of climate justice. Prajita Karki is the chairperson of that. I think she was here somewhere, sometime before, but she's gone now. And the other one is from People in Need. It gives a story of multi-hazard climate risks. And the last one is from EC Mode, that talks about the gives the success story of Nepal's zigzag brick production success stories. So without further ado, let's watch those films. So there won't be any interruption in between. So all of the films will, start and then sequentially move to another film. So thank you.
The disappearing of lakes, the change in pattern of weather, the fast melting snow are bringing havoc on the lifestyles and livelihood of highlanders of Bhutan, threatening the communities and their ability to survive. This is the story from the highlands of Bhutan.
어릴 때 나온 노대로 소대로 로하는 야셀로 좀 쉽지. 그다 해마 배워신 이렇게 가르나 그 뒤지고 접그 이것은 그 저저저저 이 추대서 남선이 이제 강에 내가 남선이 신들이 어떤 나바세 올라니 슈비샤 차바지지 버던 오더라데 용마 풍비들 차밤니 나도 버진다고 십세가 걸려되나 추제라 몸데 이게 숨어서 되니 아제나서 슈롱마는 지레 되가데 다른 거 아직 사이에서 저거 넣어진 데니 사슈는 하는 게 사이에서 좀 와서 야 저와 야주 주루마 주 나다나 게리다 자산님의 거대 뭐 아니더라 생活때 남시 주어대 가들이 남아시다 중에 삼조르베로 같이베로 때 지시 잡조지어가 신는 생각까지 채는 것입니다. 타자 해마사에서 다른 이미지 대사메디 뭐 이걸 자기의 투줄기는 여기가 잡지보니 미들 거기 중국이 봐가 지는 뒷님지 들고 인슈시하고는 그 버버 쉬는 거를 쉬냐니 내가 그 메고는 사 말린세 메고는 사야기니 제가로가 추가 모니터링 달로나 진짜쇼 감민들이 무슨 실 남미도 그 가들이 있는 쉬미시다 다른 나가 나님시하고 팀부터 여와 가는 우리 선이 인슈시셔
예, 야, 그래서 야다마 조르데 카우짭 찹짭도 넘스는 강이 된다. 저렇게 카우짭 찹짭하면서 매마도 저렇게 카우다 찹짭 그래서 슈베짭 하는 게 있는데라. 루디 스틴 남디 스체 거기 야데스 가라시 안즈네 그래서 강이 된다. 그냥 세르스 대수 야데스 되는 서블라 마음치되니 시리 아니야. 마치 통로알에 샤데스 가라면도 루안즈네 거기 사는 게 되는 거 아니라. 가라는 거죠.
Manche joa de wachente hamadi wachi titi ka kojo bi titi kojo miyuna de chapjo bi titi jado sum jibinante ko chapgo chola de tadi yin titi jamji kojo jila che bin kojo minila le no chakara tu ten tele jaye chikane tadi kojo churi te anga chene kini baba na ma chupmani sime chubom de te anga bindu chapshu be job tele 남섬이 주류 템버데 마치 이데스 때 추타문 데르기 야 저버서서 되면서 추기 바 주류 미통은 우선 음식 좀 있는다 근데 잠시만 아메리카는 제시지 않니 누나 춤이 누가 진짜 주고 베니다 보라카니 비추카테 그때 지금 비추토가 있는데 어떻게 kita kalingan na po kita ni
namshiri jawadi wajin tha machane turi benna bete de gin khawage do ja te chaba do anere khauchi tere bela chap chap ta de che chako ka bile machane che yana renkot bani renkot ge chumo te po anere khauchi bela ya gin sam bachen tar gin khauchami dola kete nenda chiga te khawage sa du de so te khaw phada so chak dire te ko pu pone le kawli machi me machi chila chitra ta yo tuk chire ni u ta di se na pa chor chire ya le mi dang cha ta ni chor chire sa de la wale chungo dara kon ta ya de den na la ko sna ni koninga bonga materi tema le puma ane pumanyo puma titu benyoza kame chingin ane te biari targa temana ton te buyugula ane sachu te ne belata
나한테 소란 지야자 통과도 남수 좋아 아직 나가다면 안 탑쪽다 남수는 참네 야 신예보다 내주 남자자다 또 남긴 자다 고조다 남수는 고나는 저거 쭉 받아 주더니 아니래 춤이 되는 춤인데 통사 타린 사전 그래 이땐 이마 아직 남수는 제도 해마장 같이 걸라거다 걸라니 인수수 지지게 가는 거 가리 인줄로 감당 이마 아직 남수는 제대가 산다 그만하지 그만데 따나 무다 아직 이마 아직 고조란 거 같이 지라고 민인가스는 남는 쉬던 나는 잘 민다제 안 추억한데 추억으로 같이 하고
ngata alo nim no tu no ta chi ja be no shu tro ane be tung nim kilu su be chogo su ane be ila ma hima ten ma shu ni min tu la ma ane be wo ma tro ma ane se ma nim na ja be to mi jue na te ta de chö ji ga su pa su ta ka ke te ane be ja be to a ti hu me la ta mo be na ane ngu tum ri sa ane be de me ba la ane Flora ben ane ja ben ane ngutum nim sa nim jen deve no ane ne me ge bala te ta nim no se ta se ne ge me bala te sa ni mo ina te rang lu da lu ju sa wi na ha me bala nung ka tu le te ta ne be te no so la te ra ka je na te tom de te sim je te
I'm standing here at Lemthang Lake, which used to be lake before. However, due to the 2015 Gulf outburst, it's not lake anymore. However, this is just a glimpse of what climate change, rise in temperature has caused this beautiful nature's destruction. This Lemthang Tso is located in northwestern part of Bhutan. Although there was no casualty caused, however, there was huge destruction not only on this landscape but also to the communities living down the valley. Although my country, Bhutan, is a global leader in environmental conservation with the constitutional requirement to preserve at least 60% of forest coverage throughout times to come, Bhutan is also known to absorb 9.4 million tons of carbon dioxide, which is 3 times more of what Bhutan emits. Yet, we are facing this planetary crisis. We have also become vulnerable to climate change, biodiversity loss, land degradation, so on and so forth. So, with this, I would like to urge all the leaders around the world, stakeholders, concerned communities, and individuals to take actions within your capacity to save our Mother Earth, our nature, our environment, not for ourselves, but also for the future and also for the healthy planet.
年最多的水，
多的是水啊，水来他们多的了。
从来比这今年的雨最多。那是既不叫多，是叫脏啊。哦，我就叫看治病了嘎，当时不好抵抗力差了，那只可以是。以前我们最高温度有27、8度啊，现在都30度左右，31度就是的。
Coffee will be impacted by climate change. There will be some direct impacts, such as more frequent droughts, erratic rainfall patterns, or some more frequent cold waves at high elevations, which can be devastating for coffee trees.
随着极端天气的频发和增强，咖啡果小度、天牛以及锈病的爆发持续上升，并带来了巨大的经济损失。
应该是炒快点放的钓鱼打嘛，一刀吗？
不打，我们这边不打。
那边不打的。
我们这边不打炒快点的，基本都怕被人睡吧。
哦。
我差不多活到要有60年了，像这2年的天刚少雨我还没经过，刚好前2年天最干的时候，咖啡价格也是最低的时候。最主要是天太干以后，温度太高就是虫害啊。他个虫是住在树里头、树干里头，农药是直接跟它接触不了的。但是今年是比较好雨水多就是杂草、水土流失、滑坡，咖啡会徒长，倒伏严重了嘛。这个老天大自然我们是没办法，最好就是雨水经营就好了。
全球大约有1.25亿人依靠咖啡维持生计，在这里面80%种植咖啡的农民都是发展中国家的小农户。传统的工作方式会让土地退化，最终不再适合种植。再加上极端天气和病虫害频繁爆发这些因素，小农户几乎是没有任何能力来应对气候变化的。
活的它就是这个不够的感觉。因为气候变化其实是导致了整个阿拉比卡品种全球的产量的减少，主要还是体现在采购价格上面。整体的咖啡是供不应求的一个状态，然后还有一个大市场在新兴起来，就是中国的咖啡市场。我们有一些商业的客户，像咖啡馆啊这些，他们对于成本是很敏感的。其实对我而言，原料价格几乎是上涨了50%左右。
就市场端来说，是不允许我们去转嫁到消费者身上，价格第一个影响不会转嫁，只能是在我们和供货商之间共同去压缩这个空间或者解决这个问题。最难的办法，或者说最不想接到的状况，就是我们做咖啡做其他。
Ecom SMS team works with farmers to implement certification and sustainable management projects such as agroforestry and integrated weed management. We try to build farmers' capacity to reach a balance between good coffee, crop quality, yield, and resilience to climate change in coffee landscapes.
We're looking for solutions to make farmers more resilient where they are. One solution is to improve the soil condition, to increase the soil water retention capacity, to make it more resilient in case of a drought. Another solution is to look for new coffee varieties or even new coffee species that are more tolerant to heat stress. A third solution lies in agroforestry practices. Agroforestry can provide a range of benefits called ecosystem services. One of them is that the shade of trees will cool down the overall temperature and buffer the extreme temperature events such as heat waves or cold waves.
你们叫阿什么？没得，龙某。龙某一个你走，个你走呀？个这样。
都是你一个人做？
对呀，
年年都是。
年年都是一个人做。
平常管理呢？
平常管理还不是一个人，我老人我都照顾上。
就是你是你们家的主要的劳动力了嘛？
嗯。
那这个连上你老公的这个在丝毛打工这个收入，家里面现在应付得了？
应付不了。
We noticed that women farmers are reluctant to attend training sessions which are very technical. Lack of strong science education in rural areas. Women farmers are not comfortable with big scientific words and very technical machineries, but they do feel the impact of climate change. We realize that the climate change discourse is not just a technical issue. It needs gender sensitivity, and women should not be looked at only as victims, but also as knowledgeable community members who are actively seeking for innovations. We set up our agroforestry and new coffee variety demo plots at Ms. Wang's farm. She managed the trials and is very communicative during the process. We need to give consideration to our women farmers. We need to make our trainings more inclusive. We need to make our technology more interesting and accessible to women farmers.
पहले गांव में लेबर खाने कभी ये घास काट के रहा ये घास काटा है ये लड़के ने कहा तो बच्ची का गट्ठा बेच दिया कभी किसी ने बुराई करने आ जा कहा तो उसको अपने साथ बुराई करने को लगे ऐसे मतलब अपना गुजारा करते पढ़ाई थोड़ा मेरी थोड़ा बच्चों के लिए अपने पूरा करते हैं अक्टूबर को हमारे रामपुर में आपदा आई पहले खड़े सारे उनका आपदा आई तो मतलब सब लाइट वाइट सब खत्म हो गई थी हमारे तो नदी थी तो वहाँ ऐसे जाने आने का कुछ जाने कौन के फोन फिर ऐसी जरूरत हवा लगी वो हो गया हमारा पूरा मतलब पूरा हमारा भी पहले तो हम सब ठीक ठाक ही करते गए उसके बाद हमारा कोई कुछ नहीं रहा मतलब यहाँ
It was a shell of a building with water running through it like I couldn't imagine. And I couldn't even imagine how that water could go through because there was just so much debris. I've never experienced, or we have never experienced a stream rainfall like this. The herb cranes and spice unit was located next to the river. This is a river which would flow gently. It would get a little more in state in the monsoons. And While now that we see in hindsight, of course, that was not the best location, but when we had chosen the building, we had chosen it for sun, we had chosen it for a lot of light, we had chosen it for a roof, and somehow one never really thinks of the worst case scenario, which unfortunately now everybody is doomed into. So we were really lucky that none of our team members or our farmers had casualties, but there were 12 people who did lose their lives here in the area. Kilmora started about 27 years ago. Agri is one of the three main verticals of Kilmora, and it focuses on livelihood generation for small and marginal farmers. And whenever we asked our team also as to how we could help them, they said, "Man, come, Bilal. You know, give us a fair wage and let us work and get that."
उसके बाद हम करीबन 4 महीने तो ऐसे ही थे, मतलब क्या होता है करते धीरे धीरे कि हमारे सर लोगों ने थोड़े यहाँ पर हमको काम के लिए बुलाया, तो जरा हमें खुशी। पहले तो हम मतलब नर्वस हो गए थे, मैं उम्मीद नहीं थी कि बच्चे कहाँ से पाले, क्योंकि पापा का पर्सनल ड्राइवर है, पापा की हाई स्कूल पढ़े हुए हैं, इसलिए हमने भी कम पढ़ा के मैंने सोचा मेरे बच्चों के लिए जैसा मैं अभी चल रहा है मेरी जिंदगी में इतनी करना है, मेरे बच्चों के साथ कर पाए। एक माँ का दिल होता है कि मेरे बच्चे बड़े हो, इसलिए मैं अपने बच्चों के लिए करता नहीं, ये मेरी बात है। मतलब जो भरोसा मुझे ये एनजीओ से है, मैं पेट भरे या ना भरे यही स्तर पर हूँ, यहाँ से नहीं है।
The name of our organization is Kulmura, which is a plant that grows here. It grows in the most neglected, harshest of terrain. We didn't know that we were fortune tellers, and naming our organization was something which is a lived reality now, where things are changing every year and people are still continuing to survive due to their sheer resilience and their will to stay here. The uncertainty is something that has become a part and parcel of our life.
डर लग जाते हैं कि फिर बारिश होने लग गई तो क्या ना हो जाए, या ये करके मन में बहुत घबराहट जैसी हो जाते हैं रात को, क्योंकि हमारे घर के पहाड़ ऊपर पहाड़ है, तो वहाँ पर भी पत्थर है बहुत बड़ा सा, और सीधे हमारे घर के सामने, लेकिन जो घर के ऊपर पहाड़ में पत्थर है उसका गिरने का डर जाता है।
They were very hard hit, very jittery with the water. The relationship has changed. It's no longer just a life-giving force, it's also something that can destroy. And that shakiness exists. It continues. Staying here, living with the ever-present changes, and trying to create some meaningful impact in whatever little way we can as an organization. I think that's the only thing that makes us feel happy.
My name is Jitendra Yadav. I am staying at Hawalbagh, Almora. I shifted here in 2009 from Delhi. I studied in Delhi. I was born in Delhi. and then 2009, I made my plans to shift to Hawalbag permanently. When I came to Almora, coming from Delhi, where you find garbage everywhere, it felt like it is a garbage-free place. What I saw was heaps of garbage lying on the mountain slopes. Slopes are like very steep. It is almost impossible to collect all the garbage, so it will be there permanently. When I came here, what I was doing is cleaning the area around my house. But slowly, the litter kept on increasing. Now, after a decade or so, morning I clean, by evening it is again the same litter. There is no other waste that is worse than plastic. So something had to be done. And the only place where a common man can find justice are the courts. So I went to Uttarakhand High Court, I filed a PIL. The rules were there. The plastic waste rules, everything was there. The Uttarakhand state level rules were there. And nobody was following it. Had there been no rules, maybe I would have thought it is a difficult task because rules have to be formed by the government. I filed the case in July 2022. We filed basically two major points were there. One was on EPR, which is Extended Producer Responsibility. Any company which sells the product has to take the responsibility of taking their waste back. And the other point was local waste management, solid waste management. Solid waste management is non-existent in Almora, Hawalbag. In fact, whole of Uttarakhand. I filed this petition after a lot of frustration actually. I held myself back. A sort of pessimism was there. The honorable judges, they took their time to understand the problem. They were very sensitive to the issue and they passed the order directing the farms to register for EPR, directing authorities to clean all the garbage and directing the urban development other ministries to see why there is no solid waste management system. So the first order was really hopeful, and then gradually as the case proceeded, second, third, fourth, fifth, it was clear that something is going to happen, and the pessimism went away. Now there's a bit of, not a bit of, I would say a lot of optimism in me that probably in another 1 year, 1.5 years, something will be done in the area of solid waste management in whole of Uttarakhand. Garbage in itself is a very ugly thing. The bigger question is, what does it do to our environment? Plastic comes from fossil fuels, and I fear a future where plastic is so much consumed that it requires more and more fossil fuel. If we have to look at a bright future, a future where we can have some control over climate change, we need to do something about plastic consumption. We need to cut down the production. We need to cut down the consumption. That is one of the most important part, and we need to start right now. There is no time. So just today morning, I was having breakfast and going through the newspaper when I saw news that DM of Almora has ordered that punish those who litter, and the order also says that collect all the garbage and send them to the nearest dumping zone. This made my day. This shows something is happening. And then I also got a call from my village chief who wanted to know what should be done about the plastic waste which is scattered all around. He wanted how we can collect it and where should we send it. So we discussed that. Probably in a day or two we'll start work on that also. All these things are going on. This is making me really, really hopeful that the future is good, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to implement 100% solid waste management system everywhere. My vision of future, or what I feel maybe in another 10 years, is I hope that the production of plastic is cut down drastically. I hope the consumption of plastic is cut down drastically. We can shift to things which are not damaging to the environment. I hope we find new alternative to plastic. It is not that difficult. I hope after 10 years there should be no plastic pollution.
Autumn 2022 was, in some ways, a season of avalanches in the Manaslu region of Nepal. This year, the Himalayan trekking season saw multiple avalanches strike camps, causing deaths and destroying houses, bridges, and farmlands. Trails were obstructed, villages were cut off from essential supplies, and scores of trekkers were left stranded. At 8,163 meters above sea level, Mount Manaslu, which roughly translates to Mountain of the Spirit, is the 8th highest in the world and one of the riskier peaks to climb. This year, over 400 foreigners had acquired permits to ascend the daunting peak. Like during other years, the rhythms of the local communities, hotels, and trekking agencies were all aligned to the trekking calendar. But with the avalanches and landslides, villages around the famous Manaslu circuit have been left to pick up the pieces. While avalanche activity has been historically recorded in Manaslu, avalanches have rarely hit base camp or left a trail of destruction across the Manaslu region. This season's avalanche activity should perhaps give us pause. Were these powerful natural events an indicator of our planet's current health? Was the moving mountain saying something? Are we listening?
हिउँहरू पग्लेपछि अब ग्लेसियर आउने हो होइन ग्लेसियर आएपछि सबैले चाहिँ क्लाइम्बिङ गर्ने गाह्रो हुने हो अब रोक आएपछि होइन अब कि त त हिउँ नै हिउँ कि त रोकै रोक भयो भने त त्यसको लागि त एउटा चाहिँ आफ्नो लुगा लाउँथ्यो नि होइन हिउँ भयो भने आइस हामीले चाहिँ हिउँमा त लाउनु जुत्ता लाउनु पऱ्यो रोक भयो भने रोक सिस लाउनु पऱ्यो होइन त्यहाँ त दुइटा लाउनु सक्दैन नि त्यही भएर गाह्रो चाहिँ त्यही भएर हुने हो कि ग्लेसियरमा लाउने ब्यागलै लाउनु भएन लानु सक्दैन होइन त्यही भएर क्लाइम्बरको लागि चाहिँ एकदम गाह्रो भइरहेको थियो अहिले चाहिँ अब यो हिमाल मात्रै पक्लेको होइन यो भन्छ नि अहिले ग्लोबल वार्मिङले गर्दाखेरि हिमाल पक्ले अब बेस क्याम्प सार्नुपर्ने कुराहरू आउँछ होइन त्यो बेस क्याम्प सार्नुपर्ने कुरा मात्रै होइन यस्तो हो भने त ग्लोबल वार्मिङले त हिमाल मात्रै भिरेको त होइन नि हिमाललाई असर पर्न जति त गाउँमा पनि पर्छ नि
यो ठाउँ तपाईँको चाहिँ एउटा पर्यटकीय ठाउँ पनि हो एकदम प्रभाव ठाउँ पनि हो यो सानै भयो भने यतिसम्मको चाहिँ पर्यटकको लागि चाहिँ धेरै त्यसमा चाहिँ थियो पोहोरको त्यो के अरे असार 1 गतेको 78 असार 1 गतेको चाहिँ बाढीले गर्दाखेरि यहाँ ध्वस्तै बनाएको छ स्कुललाई चाहिँ ठुलो त्यसमा हामीले हेरिरहेको छ किनभने यो जुन यो पुल लाग्यो अहिले चाहिँ त्यो बालबच्चाहरूलाई स्कुल जानलाई चाहिँ हिजो 5 मिनटमा पुग्ने ठाउँ यही मुनिको बाटो पुग्ने ठाउँ अहिले 1.5 घन्टा 1 घन्टाको बाटो हिँड्नु परिरहेछ
पहिला चाहिँ हामीले के भन्छ अरे लोकल स्याउहरू लगाउँथ्यो है लोकल स्याउ लगाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ खासै त्यस्तो नभए राम्रो भएन अनि त्यसपछि अलिकति आय स्रोत वृद्धि हुन्छ कि भनेर मैले हाइब्रिड लगाएको यो हाइब्रिड लगाएर 3 वर्ष भयो 3 वर्ष भयो अनि के भन्छ अरे योलाई मलजल पनि राम्रै गरेको छ अब के सोचेको छु भने मैले चाहिँ अब चाहिँ यो बाटो घाटो राम्रो भइदियो भने यसलाई बजारसम्म पुर्यायो भने आर्थिक स्रोत चाहिँ आय स्रोत चाहिँ राम्रो हुन्छ कि भन्ने मेरो आशा छ
चाहिँ पहिला हाम्रो बाबु मम्मीको पालामा चाहिँ केही पनि नफल्थ्यो होइन त्यतिखेर क्याम्पिङ पनि थियो अहिले चाहिँ ट्री हाउस चढेको भएर तर हामीले आलु रोपेको छ अनि ग्रिन हाउस बनाएर अनि बन्द चाहिँ तर खासै नहुने रहेछ सागहरू अनि के अरे साग अनि धनिया अनि कौडी चाहिँ सानो सानो छोरी छोरी हुने रहेछ खासै राम्रो हुँदैन
The mountains of the Hindu Kush Himalayan region are geographically young and dynamic, in a perpetual state of flux and uplift. These mountains move in other ways as well, and they tell us stories of our people and lands. We hear these stories in the changing flows of our rivers, in our melting glaciers, our shrinking farmlands, our emptying villages. Our moving mountains call for cooperation to collectively combat the impacts of climate change on ecosystems and communities. Our priority today is to move mountains from the periphery to the center of the global climate and environment discourse. The HKH region is the pulse of the planet. Changes happen here before they do anywhere else, and we need to listen to what one of the first indicators of our planet's health is begging us to hear. It's now or never.
Women and nature, nature and destruction. This connection is so intricate. From the high mountains and the middle hills to the plains of the south, not many places in Nepal have been spared from the destructive forces of nature. As a result of global warming, the snow on mountains is less visible and the peaks are revealing their black rocks. This is no longer big news, particularly in Nepal. What makes big news today is the melting of the Himalayas and glaciers, unseasonal rains, floods and landslides, and how women and children are affected by the disasters. These are some of the biggest questions. The snow that has been accumulated for thousands of years in the Everest region has melted away in a few years, in our own lifetimes. On March 8th, 2022, leading women from Nepal trekked to Kala Pathar in the Everest region to mark International Women's Day. The main agenda was to make the world aware of the impending climate crisis with the slogan, Women United for Climate Justice. They wanted to draw the attention of the world to the unexpected glacier melts and other natural hazards that risk the lives and livelihoods of the people of the Himalayas. They noticed that with the decreasing snow lines in the world-famous mountain range of Nepal, the major source of water in the country is also declining rapidly. And it seems that this change will not only impact Nepal, but also the neighboring countries. The team of women came up with the Kala Pathar Manifesto, a 10-point declaration to draw the world's attention to the effects of climate change on women living in high mountains and plains.
ग्लोबल वार्मिङको लागि जुन जुन देशहरूले भूमिका खेलेको छन् सबैलाई उत्तरदायी बनाउनुपर्छ भन्ने नै त्यो पेरिस कन्भेन्सनको मूल मन्त्र पनि रहेको छ
In the Madhes region, unseasonal floods, droughts due to extreme heat and wildfires have grown in numbers. These problems have directly affected the lives of women, with the elderly and children facing more problems. As more men go abroad to make ends meet, the burden of work has fallen on the shoulders of women. This October, the team of Sat Sathe was scheduled to trek to Foksondo Lake in Karnali district. Suddenly, the situation became treacherous due to incessant rain, snowfall and fog. This caused the death of many people, disrupted the lives of others and destroyed crops. The years-long project to bring water from Melamchi River through a tunnel to quench the thirst of the people of Kathmandu is finally coming to completion. However, the amount of water in the river's headwater in Helambu is decreasing. Last year, a landslide caused a glacier burst, resulting in a 30-kilometer settlement in Helambu getting covered in sand and mud. Even today, whose eyes won't get teary after hearing about the sufferings of the people and the devastation in the area?
बर्खाको बेला त हामी के खाने कसरी बस्ने भन्ने नै छैन कि हामी त भोकै बस्नुला हाम्रो सन्तान चाहिँ अब अरूको देखा नि अब बच्चाले त मान्दैन
Assets worth billions were destroyed in minutes.
माको घर कसको घर हो तिर्छु परेर आउँदो
However, the loss can't be counted in numbers alone, for we, as a nation, lost a lot more. The biggest loss was that of hope.
जलवायु परिवर्तनले गर्दाखेरि पहिरो गएर यति लामो क्षति र यति लामो पहिरो गएको यो सायद संसारमै यो बेग होला अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय समुदायले यो बेगको क्षतिपूर्ति यहाँको पब्लिकहरुको किसानहरुको यहाँको व्यवसायिकहरुको यहाँको सम्पूर्ण किसानको आर्थिक स्थितिलाई एउटा चाहिँ हालसम्म भएको क्षतिपूर्ति उहाँहरूले बेहोर्नु पर्यो.
Just as the pillars of the houses of Helambu are broken, so are the hearts of the victims of the disaster. Neither the victims of the disasters in the mountainous region, nor the residents of Dolpa, Madhesh and the residents of Helambu know that global climate change is the actual cause of these unfortunate incidents. This is why they have become voiceless. Currently, many efforts are being made to reduce the impacts of climate change. However, the magnitude of the problem is such that most seem inadequate. Nonetheless, efforts are ongoing. What is required at the moment is the initiative of the international community, a collective and strong effort to help return the smile to the faces of the victims of the disasters.
Losses and damages due to climate change in nature and people are growing. We propose to work together to enhance the adaptation capability of vulnerable communities, particularly women, to raise awareness, address the root causes, and seek climate justice.
We need to come together and become the voice of the voiceless, the face of the faceless, and the hope of the hopeless.
रातैभरि दिनैभरि पानी पर्यो अनि थाहा थियो त्यतिखेर यति पानी पर्छ कि यति बाढी आउँछ भनेर उत्तरपट्टिको बाँध फुटेर यसरी नै आयो हाम्रो घर वरिपरि यस्तै चारै दिशा चारै कुनामा एकदम छायो पानी नै पानी यस्तै यताबाट आयो सबै घरहरू एकदम उतै नै लग्यो सारेर त्यो साल त एकदमै दुःख थियो हामी 4 महिना 5 महिनासम्म घर पसेन बाहिर खाट बनाएर त्यही सुते हामी धेरै नै दुःखमा थियो त्यो दिन चाहिँ कहिले नआउँछ धेरै नै नराम्रो भोगेको छु हामी 3वटा जस्तै लाग्छ सर्दै आयो अनि अर्काको जमिनमा हामी छौ उता त हाम्रो छैन बस्ने कतिखेर हामीलाई यहाँदेखि उठी बास गराउँछ त्यो त अब थाहा छैन
क्लाइमेट चेन्जको बर्डन चाहिँ हाम्रो कन्टेक्स्टमा हेर्ने हो भने एकदमै महिलाले धेरै खप्नु परेको छ र हाम्रो अबको एडाप्टेसन भनेको चाहिँ वुमेन फोकस्ड हुनुपर्छ
We definitely need to think of, again, sustainable and durable solutions that's homegrown, but also is considerate of the different kind of hazards. So looking at these different hazards and adopting a technological choice that addresses these risk considerations is a good way to go ahead. We can never control a river, but what we can do is live with it.
हामी अब ग्रीन जबको लागि चाहिँ बढी फोकस गरिरहेका छौँ। ग्रीन चाहिँ फाइनेन्सको कुरा छ र सरकारले फाइनेन्सिङ स्ट्राटेजी बनाएको छ। यसले चाहिँ हामीलाई के गरेका छन् भने अब फ्युचरमा चाहिँ इम्प्लिमेन्टेसनको लागि हामीलाई लिगल सेटअप चाहिँ सबै कम्प्लिट भएको अवस्थालाई चाहिँ जनाउँछ।
This effort would eventually cater durable solutions to prepare and respond to future disaster, save lives, and strengthen the localization of DRR and adaptation in Nepal.
Today, climate change is an unavoidable reality for Nepal's most vulnerable communities. Natural disasters, made worse by climate change, have taken lives, destroyed homes and jobs, and forced people to migrate. This is why the UK is working with international development partners to leverage an additional $4.2 billion to support the government of Nepal's green, resilient, and inclusive development plans.
The United Nations Environment Programme and Climate and Clean Air Coalition, CCAC's Air Pollution in Asia and the Pacific, Science-Based Solutions, 2019 को रिपोर्टका अनुसार सरकारले वायु प्रदूषण न्यूनीकरणको लागि सम्बोधन गर्न पर्ने 25 क्षेत्रहरूमध्ये इट्टा उद्योग क्षेत्र पनि एक हो। विगतमा परम्परागत रूपमा सञ्चालनमा रहेका इट्टा उद्योगहरूले कार्बन उत्सर्जन न्यूनीकरण गर्ने पहलहरूमा सहयोग नगरेको कुरा आउँदै गर्दा इट्टा उद्योग आफैले व्यापक रूपमा आलोचना बेहोर्न परेको थियो। तर हालै श्रमिकको हक अधिकार सुनिश्चित गर्नुका साथै जिगज्याग प्रविधि अवलम्बन गरी जलवायु परिवर्तन तथा प्रदूषण उन्मूलनमा सहयोग गर्न संयुक्त पहल गरेकाले नेपाली इट्टा उद्योगले उल्लेखनीय सुधार गर्दै आएको देखिन्छ।
इट्टा उद्योग र वायु प्रदूषण बीच चाहिँ ठुलै नै सम्बन्ध छ। जस्तो चाहिँ पहिला जति बेला चाहिँ काठमाडौँमा चाहिँ मुभेबल चिम्नी टाइपको चाहिँ इट्टा उद्योग हुन्थ्यो, त्यति बेला त काठमाडौँ उपत्यकामा वान अफ द सिग्निफिकेन्ट सोर्स नै थियो यो इट्टा उद्योग। र जब चाहिँ बिस्तारै प्रविधि को विकास हुँदै गयो, त्यसपछि जब सम्पूर्ण इट्टा भट्टाहरू चाहिँ स्ट्रेट लाइन ब्रिक किल भनौँ न फिक्स चिम्नी टाइपको चाहिँ ब्रिक किलमा चाहिँ परिणत हुँदै गयो। त्यो पछि चाहिँ अलिकति पोल्युसन या विशेष गरी एयर पोल्युसन लेभलमा चाहिँ त्यो अलिक कम हुँदै गइरहेको छ। र जुन अहिले चाहिँ लेटेस्ट प्रविधि जुन काठमाडौँ उपत्यकाका सबै जसो इट्टा भट्टाहरूमा चाहिँ लागू भइसकेको प्रविधि जुन जिगज्याग प्रविधि हो, त्यसपछि अझ चाहिँ प्रदूषण चाहिँ कम हुँदै गइरहेको छ।
इसिमोडको समन्वयमा दक्षिण एसियाभित्र सञ्चालनमा रहेका इट्टा उद्योगहरू बीच आपसी साझेदारी, सफा इट्टा उत्पादन तथा उद्योगबाट कम उत्पादन गराई प्रदूषण घटाउन सहयोग गरेको छ, जसले गर्दा हरेक राष्ट्रको आफ्नो नेशनली डिटर्मिन्ड कन्ट्रिब्युसन्स तथा दिगो विकासको लक्ष्य हासिल गर्न सहयोग गरेको छ। इसिमोडको समन्वयमा बङ्गलादेश, भारत, नेपाल र पाकिस्तान जस्ता देशहरूले उद्यमीहरू र नीति निर्माताहरूसँगको सहकार्यमा सफा इट्टा बनाउने प्रविधिहरू तीव्र रूपमा अपनाउँदै उत्पादक र उपभोक्ता दुवैका निम्ति स्वीकार्य स्पष्ट नीति तयार गर्न सहयोग गर्दछ। कम ऊर्जा खपत हुने इट्टा उद्योगका डिजाइन, निर्माण तथा प्रभावकारी सञ्चालन र मर्मतका लागि स्थानीय प्राविधिक क्षमता अभिवृद्धि गर्दै र सम्बन्धित निजी क्षेत्रका सरोकारवालाहरूसँगको सहकार्यमा हानिकारक प्रदूषण तथा उत्सर्जनलाई सीमित गरी कामदारहरूका लागि अनुकूल वातावरण बनाउँदै इट्टा क्षेत्रको रूपान्तरणमा सक्रिय पहलका साथ योगदान दिइरहेका छन्।
The emissions that come out of a brick plane in one country doesn't stop at its borders. The impacts transcend national boundaries. The impacts on the environment, on the health of the people, the economy, and even food production, water quality are felt by communities both in and around the region. Therefore, we took up this work and we have introduced now a technology called Zigzag, which reduces the emission of dust particles by up to 40%, the black carbon emissions by up to 60%, and carbon dioxide by up to 14%. Now, these are substantial reductions. And this technology, I'm happy to say, is now being adopted throughout Nepal and also in Pakistan. In the coming years, we are planning to scale it out to India and Bangladesh. And we feel that this would make a very, very significant contribution to improving the quality of air in the region.
जिगज्याग प्रविधिले कोइलाको खपत 20% घटाउनका साथै कार्बन उत्सर्जन न्यूनीकरणमा पनि उल्लेखनीय रूपमा योगदान पुर्याउँछ। यस प्रविधि मार्फत गुणस्तरीय इट्टाहरू कम लागतमै उत्पादन गर्न सकिन्छ। झण्डै 310 अर्ब इट्टा उत्पादन हुने दक्षिण एसियाली क्षेत्रमा सफा प्रविधि मार्फत इट्टा उत्पादन प्रक्रियाले वायु गुणस्तरलाई प्रत्यक्ष रूपमा सकारात्मक असर पार्दछ। यद्यपि यस क्षेत्रमा सञ्चालित झण्डै 1,50,000 इट्टा उद्योगहरूमध्ये धेरै जसो परम्परागत प्रविधिहरूमा आधारित छन् र अत्यधिक श्रम र ऊर्जा खपत हुने प्रक्रियाहरू मार्फत हातले बनाइएको इट्टा उत्पादन गर्दछन्। नेपालमा मात्रै करिब 1300 यस्ता उद्योगहरूले वार्षिक अनुमानित 600 टन कालो कार्बन र 18 लाख टन कार्बन डाइअक्साइड उत्सर्जन गर्छन्। परम्परागत उद्योगहरूको तुलनामा जिगज्याग प्रविधिले गर्ने उत्सर्जन निकै कम भएकोले हरितगृह ग्यास उत्सर्जन कम गर्ने विश्वव्यापी अभियानमा यो प्रविधि एक ठूलो उपलब्धि हो। इसिमोड र नेपाल इट्टा उद्योग महासंघ अर्थात् एफएनबीआई लगायत अरू क्षेत्रीय सरोकारवालाहरूसँगको साझेदारीले स्थानीय वातावरणीय परिवर्तन र त्यसबाट समुदायहरूमा पर्ने प्रभावलाई सम्बोधन गर्नेछ र क्षेत्रीय वायुको गुणस्तरको मुद्दालाई पनि सम्बोधन गर्नेछ।
हिजोको दिनमा के थियो भने यो टिनको चिम्नी हुने गर्थ्यो अनि त्यसपछि हाम्रो हजुरबाहरूले चिम्नीबाट कालो धुवा निस्कियो भने राम्रो इँटा निस्किन्छ भन्ने एउटा प्रचलन थियो। त्यो भराइ गर्दाखेरि अलिकति रिस्क हुने मान्छेहरू त्यसमा भनौँ न भस्किने बिग्रिने हुन्थ्यो भने अब जिगज्याग गरिसकेपछि हामीले त्यस हिसाबमा स्ट्राइकिङ गर्दाखेरि त्यसमा चाङ्लाको त माथि फिडिङ बोझाइ गरेको इँटा पनि नढल्ने अनि त्यसपछि के हुन्छ भने अब यसमा हामीले चाहे अनुसार आफ्नो हावाहरूलाई कन्ट्रोल नियन्त्रण गर्न सकिने भएको भएर इँटाको पर्सेन्टेज पनि अलि राम्रो बढी निक्लिन्छ। 80देखि 90-95% निक्लिन्छ भन्न चाहन्छु।
यो पारस्परिक रूपमा लाभदायक पनि छ। वायु प्रदूषण घटाएरै उत्पादन बढाउनको फाइदा इट्टा उद्योगीहरूले बुझ्न थालेका छन्। परम्परागत इट्टा उद्योग सञ्चालनको अभ्यास विपरीत इट्टाहरू सिधा रेखामा नराखी यस प्रविधिमा इट्टाहरू जिगज्याग ढाँचामा मिलाइन्छ। फलस्वरूप उद्योगहरूमा लामो समयसम्म तापक्रम नियन्त्रण भएकोले यस प्रविधि मार्फत ऊर्जा प्रवाहको उचित व्यवस्थापन गरी थोरै ऊर्जा खपतमा धेरै इट्टाहरू बनाउन सकिन्छ। यो प्रविधिले फाल्ने सेतो धुवाले गुणस्तरीय इन्धन जलनको संकेत दिन्छ।
एफएनबीआई र इसिमोडको जुन सहकार्यको सुरुवात भएको छ त्यसपछि हाम्रा नेपाल सरकारको कानुनका सम्बन्धमा सामाजिक उत्तरदायित्वका सम्बन्धमा त्यहाँ काम गर्ने श्रमिकहरूलाई दिनुपर्ने सुविधाका सम्बन्धमा र आफूले पालन गर्नुपर्ने कुराहरूका सन्दर्भका सँगै प्राविधिक कुराको पनि धेरै रूपान्तरण भएको छ र व्यवस्थित तरिकाले इटा उद्योग सञ्चालन भएको कारणले इटा उद्योगी साथीहरूको आर्थिक सामाजिक हैसियत माथि उठेको जस्तो हामीले महसुस गरेका छौँ।
तपाईँको सबभन्दा आर्थिक रूपमा चाहिँ कोइला तपाईँको 20देखि 30% कोइला कम खान्छ। दोस्रो कुरा रातो इँटा 1 नम्बरको इँटा पहिला 50% मात्र आउँथ्यो, अहिले चाहिँ 90+ आछ। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ नि हाम्रो प्रफिटमा पनि 20देखि 30% नै बढी प्रफिट गरेको देखियो।
इट्टा उत्पादन नेपालमा मौसमी रोजगारीको प्रमुख स्रोत हो। यस क्षेत्रको प्रक्रियामा पुरुष र महिला गरी करिब 1,50,000 नेपालभित्र र भारतबाट आएका प्रवासी मजदुरहरू छन्, जसमध्ये 46% महिला हुन्। यी कामदारहरू प्रतिकूल वातावरणमा काम गर्न बाध्य छन् यी कामदारहरू आफैमा इट्टा उद्योगभित्रको पेशागत स्वास्थ्य र सुरक्षा प्रभावहरूबारे सचेत भएमा आफू र आफ्नो परिवारको सुरक्षाको विधि अवलम्बन गरी उपायहरू लिन सक्षम हुन्छन्।
For social issues, like we worked with the brick entrepreneurs in Nepal, and we developed end of child labor, basic facilities in the workplace like toilet, childcare center, and also safe working place for women, because in most of the bricklands it's heavily dominated by males. So how could we make this workplace safe for women? So now FNBI has already adopted and work in all these 4 pillars.
नेपालको इट्टा उद्योगको सामाजिक परिप्रेक्ष्यमा यो साझेदारीले महत्त्वपूर्ण सफलता हासिल गरेको छ। यो साझेदारीले इट्टा उद्यमीहरूलाई सामाजिक र लैङ्गिक पक्षहरू ख्याल गर्दै प्रभावकारी उपाय तथा प्रविधिहरू अपनाउन विश्वस्त पनि गराएको छ। यस साझेदारीले काम गर्ने अनुकूल वातावरणबाट हुने लाभ र उत्पादकत्वको वृद्धिको यथार्थलाई दर्शाएको छ। यसले लैङ्गिक सहकार्य र सामाजिक अनुसन्धानलाई समेत टेवा दिएको छ। इट्टा उद्योगमा रहेका सम्पूर्ण महिला कामदारको हितका लागि यस साझेदारी मार्फत एउटा लैङ्गिक र सामाजिक एकाइको स्थापना गरिएको छ। फलस्वरूप नेपालमै पहिलो पटक इट्टा उद्योगको लागि सामाजिक आचार संहिताको तर्जुमा तयार भएको छ। उद्यमीहरूलाई प्राविधिक र व्यावसायिक स्वास्थ्य र सुरक्षा दुवै दृष्टिकोणबाट जिगज्याग इट्टा उद्योगहरू स्थापना र सञ्चालन गर्न सघाउन इसिमोड र एफएनबीआईले नेपालभर प्राविधिक सुधार र आविष्कारहरूको विस्तार गर्ने प्रयासको रूपमा 5 वटा प्रदेशमा 7 वटा नमुना इट्टा उद्योगहरू स्थापना गरेको छ।
हामीले यो एफएनबीआई र इसिमोडसँग मिलेर गर्न खोजेको सहकार्यमा के छ भने हामीले सोकेस स्क्रिन बनाएर हामीले वर्करलाई ट्रेनिङ दिने भन्दा पनि हामीले सोकेस स्क्रिनको ओनरलाई पनि ट्रेनिङ दिएर यो तपाईँले कोल बडी फिडिङ गर्दाखेरि अथवा कोल कहाँ हाल्दाखेरि अथवा कुन प्याटर्नले तपाईँले एउटा जिगज्याग भराइ गर्दाखेरि ठिक हुन्छ भन्ने कुरा यो उद्योगीले पनि जान्नुपर्छ र यस सम्बन्धी ज्ञान भनेको उद्योगीले लिनुपर्छ भन्ने किसिमको कुराहरूलाई बढी इम्पोर्टेन्ट दिनुपर्छ भन्ने जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई।
नेपालको भन्दा झन्डै 10 गुणा ठूलो पाकिस्तानको इट्टा उद्योगले इसिमोडको सहयोगमा एफएनबीआई र सम्बन्धित सरोकारवालाहरू मार्फत तालिम प्राप्त गरेको छ। नतिजा स्वरूप जिगज्याग प्रविधि परिवर्तनलाई समर्थन गर्ने धेरै नियामक समायोजनहरूका कारण पाकिस्तानका करिब 50% उद्योगहरू अहिले जिगज्यागमा रूपान्तरण भएका छन्। त्यसमाथि सिटिभिटीसँगको साझेदारीमा सफा इट्टा उत्पादनलाई नेपालभित्र नै अनुकूल गर्न फायर मास्टरको विशेष श्रम व्यावसायिक परीक्षणका औपचारिक तालिम सुरु गराउनको लागि आवश्यक पाठ्यक्रम तयार पारिएको छ। यस साझेदारीले दक्षिण एसियाका सन्दर्भमा जिगज्याग प्रविधिलाई कम ऊर्जा खपत र कम उत्सर्जन गरी सफा इट्टा बनाउने उपयुक्त र किफायती विधिको रूपमा दर्शाएको छ। हाल नेपालमा अवस्थित एसियाको इट्टा उद्योगका महासंघ अर्थात् फेडरेसन अफ एसियन ब्रिक किल्न एसोसिएशन्स सचिवालयको नेतृत्व एफएनबीआईले गरेको छ। यसले हिन्दू कुश हिमालय क्षेत्रमा ऊर्जाको खपत न्यूनीकरण गर्दै इट्टा उत्पादन गर्ने संयुक्त पहलका निम्ति बांग्लादेश, भारत, नेपाल र पाकिस्तानका इट्टा व्यवसायहरू बीचको सहकार्यलाई सहजीकरण गर्दै आएको छ। सम्भवतः सफा इट्टा उद्योगले त्रिपक्षीय फाइदाहरू ल्याउन सक्छ। सफा हावा र स्वस्थ पारिस्थितिक प्रणाली, सुधारिएको इट्टा उत्पादन अभ्यास र उत्पादकता वृद्धि र इट्टा उद्योगमा काम गर्न अनुकूल वातावरण।
अहिले हामी नेपालको 1000 भन्दा बढी क्लिनहरू सञ्चालन मध्ये हामी अहिले झन्डै 30% 35% जति हामी चाहिँ अहिले जिगज्यागमा गएका छौँ र त्यो जिगज्याग टेक्नोलोजीले सञ्चालन गरेर महासंघ पनि आफ्नो जुन पुरानो कार्यक्रम थियो त्यसलाई अहिले अपडेट गरेर आफ्ना सबै सदस्यहरूका लागि र महासंघका लागि अहिले धेरै कुरामा रूपान्तरण भएर अहिलेको समयअनुसार समय सापेक्ष अगाडि बढ्ने क्रममा महासंघ अगाडि बढेको छ भन्ने हामीले विश्वास लिएका छौँ र त्यो अनुभव गरेका छौँ।
इसिमोडको साझेदारीले अनुसन्धान र प्रविधि विकासको माध्यमबाट भविष्यमा अनुकूल वातावरण सहितको ऊर्जा किफायती र प्रभावकारी इट्टा उद्योगको स्थापना तथा व्यवस्थापनलाई टेवा पुर्याएको छ। साथै यो साझेदारीले नयाँ इट्टा उत्पादन जस्तै टनल प्रविधि, उत्पादन विविधीकरण, यान्त्रिकीकरण र कोइलालाई पेलेट र एलपीजी जस्ता बायोमास इन्धनहरूद्वारा प्रतिस्थापन गर्नका लागि जोड दिँदै आएको छ। इसी मोडले राष्ट्रिय उत्सर्जन र प्रदूषण न्यूनीकरण र कामदारका हक हित ध्यानमा राखी साझेदारहरूसँग मिलेर दक्षिण एसियाको इटा उद्योगीहरूलाई स्रोत दक्ष, कम प्रदूषणकारी भविष्यतर्फ उन्मुख गर्न परिवर्तनकारी भूमिका निर्वाह गरेको छ। कामदार, उद्यमी र राष्ट्रिय उत्सर्जन घटाउने आवश्यकतालाई सम्बोधन गर्ने यो तीन पक्षीय रणनीति उत्कृष्ट इट्टा उद्योगमा परिमार्जन गर्नको लागि कोसेढुङ्गा साबित भएको छ।
The disappearing of lakes, the change in pattern of weather, the fast melting.
Hello, hello.